So when you look at your child, even when you don't like their actions, even when you have to correct their actions, you still at the same time can retain a vision of who they remain in their deepest identity. They are worthy, they're unconditionally worthy, they are intrinsically worthy, they are infinitely worthy, and therefore they are a source of pride. And I cannot emphasize enough how fundamental this is to all of parenting. It sounds like a lofty concept. It sounds very deep, but I'm telling you, the level to which a child is going to feel secure and feel safe, the level to which they're going to feel that the world is an okay place to be, the level to which they're going to feel okay with themselves and feel like they can actually go out into the world and accomplish anything. All of this stems from the feeling of being accepted and cherished and valued. How in the world can we find it within ourselves to legitimately accept and cherish and value our children no matter what? I'm telling you, I don't know a secular model for this. I only know a spiritual way to do this, and that is to see the child for who they really are. They are a soul, and no matter what they do, they retain that identity. And therefore, we're proud of them. What does it mean we're proud of them? Let me spell it out in very down-to-earth language. I was giving this class to a group of men, and one of the fathers was a Rav. I actually happen to know who he was. He's a Pesach. He's a Bal Halacha. He's very into Jewish law. So he was having a hard time with this idea of unconditional pride. He was like, what does that mean? It's very lofty. Explain it. I said, let me be magdir in terms of halacha. I said, let me give you a parameter within Jewish law that you could, because I know the guy, that's his world. So I said, when you see your child, is it a shaila whether or not you're mechuyev in a bracha shechion? So that's very, okay, let me spell that out. There's a blessing you make if you haven't seen someone for a while, for 30 days, and then you see them and you're happy to see them. There's a blessing. Now, there's other reasons why we actually don't make that blessing, but he understood the point perfectly well. When you see your child, are you happy to see them? You don't realize the gift that you give to your child when they feel that just by walking into the room, you feel happy. You don't realize the mental and emotional health that gives to a child when they know that their very presence is cherished. How are we going to muster that? How are we going to find that within ourselves? I'm telling you, we got to get spiritual. We got to get deep, and we got to start thinking about them, not just as these little people who run around in our house, but as these eternal, infinite, godly beings who are taking a trip in this physical plane, and they're happening to make their first few years of their visit in our homes. Now, to internalize an idea like that, I know that's not something you say it to yourself and it changes. But it's like the Rebbe told the young father, there's bonus in them. You have to meditate on it. And that's why we have a meditation for class number 2. And what do you think the meditation for class number 2 is about? Of course, you guessed it. It's about this idea. It's about internalizing the idea of the child's worth based on the fact of who they are. Not what they've done, not what they have to prove themselves as, but who they are. And look, in different cultures, there are different expectations. I was speaking a few nights ago in Columbus, Ohio, and it was not a religious audience in the conventional sense. So, in religious communities, there's a lot of pressure on children that if they don't adhere to a certain level of observance, that this diminishes the pride that their parents have in them. That's obviously not an example that I would use for that crowd, But the example I used with them is that so your kid doesn't get into the right college, right? They all know that. They all related to that example of the embarrassment. My kid didn't get into it. We sent him to an expensive prep school, and then, he didn't get good SAT scores, and he didn't get into the fancy school, right? I'm telling you, a spiritual view of a child is that they don't have to do anything to be beloved, and not only beloved, to be cherished, to have you light up when they walk in the room, and to be proud. Wow, look who's here. Amazing. This being whose worth is beyond my finite ability to even fathom, this being just walked into the room.
Hey, this is Rabbi Shais Taub. You were just watching a clip from my 6-week online parenting course, which I offer about once or twice a year. We're opening up enrollment right now for another cohort of that course. If you want to get in on it, there's information how to register in the description of this video below.